Hi, I'm Tiffany, founder of Evolutionary Consulting, and through the support of Rogue Workforce Partnership, I'm here today to talk about how we bring mindfulness to challenging emotions. We are in the midst of very challenging times. The pandemic and COVID-19 leave us all with many challenging emotions to process, sometimes on a daily basis. When we have challenging emotions, what can happen for us is we sometimes go on autopilot or default mode, and we might just move towards coping mechanisms that are not a conscious choice for us and perhaps aren't that helpful. And so, what we want to do when we're practicing mindfulness with challenging emotions is really learn to be present and to sit in that emotion for a while. Because in that difficulty, in that challenge, lies wisdom, lies insight, lies healing, the ability to see myself as a resource and how to move forward through this rather than shove it down, stuff it, deny it, resist it. And of course, when we do all of those things, the shoving, the resisting, the denying, those challenging emotions don't go away. They just kind of manifest and then ooze out in ways that we might not want. I want to tell you about a great mindfulness tool you can use to stay present with your challenging emotions. I use it for mine all the time, and I have used it for many years. And I also find very different ways to use it depending on the circumstance. So I'm going to introduce you to the process called RAIN. It's an acronym. And then we will talk about different ways to use it. So RAIN as an acronym has many different meanings depending on who you talk to. There's versions of it called SANE, versions of it called SAFE. The A and the N can stand for different things. So I'm going to share with you the version that I think is really powerful. So let's begin. R stands for recognize. A stands for allow. I, investigate. And N is non-identification. So let's look at each one of these individually. Recognize. When we come to recognize what's happening within us, what is present in our body, we introduce this idea of choice rather than autopilot. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, we have strong emotions, whether we recognize them and honor them or not. So when we recognize them, we bring them to us and offer ourselves the ability to say, okay, this is what's happening inside for me. And now I'm in choice of what I want to do with this thing. So what recognize might look like is me exploring my thoughts, my emotions, physical sensations. So for example, I might not be able to identify specific thoughts that are happening for me, but I may be able to identify where I feel tension in my body. So maybe I begin to recognize that I've been locking my jaw all day, or that I'm starting to get this twitch in my eye and I know what that twitch means. It might feel like I'm having trouble breathing, or I'm recognizing that I'm breathing shallow. So it's just really tapping into what's happening for me physically, what's happening for me mentally, what's happening for me emotionally, or even spiritually. I might notice my language or my pattern of thinking. So, for example, if my language is all based in the past or in the future, what will happen, what might happen, kind of running through scenarios, or I'm using words like always, never, everybody, nobody, then that gives me an indication that I've got something that I want to dive into here, that there's something challenging for me. One helpful tool here in recognizing is seeing if you can name your specific emotion. So really saying, is this grief? What am I feeling? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it frustration? What's happening for you, and being able to notice that. And also knowing that once we start to name one, there might actually be a cluster of emotions, and that's fine too. We want to just recognize them. Next, we move to allow. So we've recognized what's happening for us, and now we want to just allow it. I give space to what's present without any resistance, change, or judgment. So I release any concept of this is right or wrong, this is good or bad. I should or shouldn't be doing this. For many of us, the denying it or fighting it or resisting it is part of saying, this isn't here. If I don't recognize this, if I don't allow it, then it's not happening. And so with allow, we just meet life where it is. Life is already here for us in a way that is frustrating, or a way that we're feeling sad about, or that we feel jealous about or angry about. That's already there. We are just saying, I see you. I is investigation. We want to be clear that when we investigate, we are investigating with a self-compassionate curiosity. So I'm exploring my experiences and my resources, not necessarily the backstory. Why do I feel this way? What's wrong with me that I feel this way? Why can't I stop feeling this way? Those are investigations that just add more blame or shame or anxiety to our process. And so instead, we're really investigating, what is my experience with this emotion, with this challenge? What does self-care look like now? What resources do I have available for me? So in the investigation process, I might say, where do I feel this in my body? I might bring awareness to colors, to density, to shape, location where this is in my body. I can ask myself, where is my attention? Where am I directing my attention? Is it in the past over things I can't control? Is it in the future over things I can't control? Can I bring my attention to this present moment? And then finally, we move into non-identification. In the non-identification process, we're really just reminding ourselves that our emotions do not define who we are. So we're reminding ourselves that there is a space between I am and I feel. And an easy way to do this is to simply add the word feel. So rather than I am angry, I am anxious, we say I am feeling anger. I am feeling some anxiousness in my body right now, right? So it's just that reminder that I'm experiencing this and it does not define who I am. It's just my temporary state. This is my temporary state. I have felt it in the past. I will feel it in the future. I'm currently feeling it right now. I often encourage people to think of themselves as a tree during this process. So if you can think of a favorite tree that you have, for me, it's a big valley oak where I grew up. And I think of myself as that. I close my eyes and I visualize that. And I'm deep and I'm old and I'm rooted and I'm wise. And my emotion is a storm that is engulfing my branches, and I'm waving and my branches are moving and my leaves are blowing all around, but I am here and that storm will pass. And even within the midst of that storm, I am rooted and I am strong and I am separate from that storm. Rain can be used in many different ways, just verbally, self-talk as you're processing something. I've used it many times through journaling. It can also be used as your own model, that you are asking questions and guiding other people as they are experiencing their own challenging emotions. So I invite you to use rain. It's such a beautiful model and such a powerful tool.